this thing on? All right, think we good. Okay, so welcome to Bill's Barbershop, you ungrateful bastards. And yeah, it's meant to be exactly what it sounds like, your neighborhood black barbershop, but without the misogyny, the homophobia, the woke tap-ish. You know what? I just realized this probably ain't gonna work. Welcome to Bill's, I don't know, haberdashery, nigga. I don't know. The point is, the same types of convos you would have waiting for your bi-weekly lineup is what we going to try to do over here. So, sports, music, hotep-ish, all that type of stuff. Anyway, I want to talk real quick today about this Caleb Williams thing because it pretty much encapsulates the kind of convos I'm trying to have over on this channel. Okay, so for y'all that don't follow college ball or like me, don't follow college ball until your team gets bounced from the playoffs, so you just start watching a bunch of Brett Coleman videos and reading scouting reports so you can pretend like you know what the term ankle flexion actually means. Caleb Williams has been the best thing smoking in the college game for at least like the past 2 years. So much so that had he been draft eligible this past April, he probably would have went number 1 overall, and that's saying a lot considering that Muggsy Bogues, Lee Roll, and the Tyler Perry flick and the freaking Terminator all went in the top 4. Barring an injury of Joe Theismann proportions or uncovered masseuse fetish, Caleb is practically locked into the number 1 overall slot come April. Which is exactly why reports have been coming out now that Caleb might actually elect to return to USC instead. Now, again, this is meant to be barbershop talk after all, so I didn't really bother to do that much research. But Caleb's father, Carl, did tell GQ magazine that there is a non-zero chance that his son might choose to exhaust his amateur eligibility instead of going to a poverty franchise like those likely to be picking in that number 1 spot. And to tell you the truth, I don't blame him because Carl didn't say the Cardinals. Come on, y'all. He's talking about the Cardinals, y'all. Again, for y'all that don't watch ball, Arizona elected to trade the number 3 overall pick in April to the Texans for number 12 and some future picks down the line, knowing that both they and themselves would likely have 2 of the worst records in the league in the coming year. Now there's really only 2 reasons a basement dweller franchise would trade that far back and into the future. 1, you're the Bears, meaning you believe that you already have at least the skeleton of a team that can compete. And so now you're not really looking for a franchise cornerstone type player. Although if one so happens to fall into your lap, then so be it. At this point, you're really just looking for guys who can fill a specific role very, very well while your young roster continues to develop into what you think could be a contender in a year or 2. But this is the Bears, y'all. Come on, y'all. Let's be for real. The second is because you're so unquenchably thirsty for a franchise quarterback that you pretty much telegraph your whole tendencies to the rest of the league saying, yeah, y'all really don't have a chance because I will do absolutely everything to have my guy. And I mean everything. And it's okay. We've all been there. So based on that analogy, the Cardinals are basically Ben Franklin. If you know, you know. Because with what's likely going to be 2 top 5 picks, if not numbers 1 and 2 back to back, the Cardinals are pretty much working for the weekend this season. Draft weekend, not the Super Bowl, obviously, just to clarify. Now, the question here is, why would a 20-something-year-old undergrad pass up what's damn near guaranteed generational wealth just to bag a few more co-eds when Zion has pretty much already given him the blueprint on post-grad hookups? Well, he did before he lost the plot, that is, Well, for the 3rd time, for y'all that don't know, the NFL's draft order is directly correlated to your win-loss record. No lottery, no ping-pong balls to give the illusion of fairness when you use metallic paint on one of the balls and secretly have a magnet hidden under your lapel, and I refuse to hear or believe otherwise. The NFL is a league of parity by design. There's a handful of true blue contenders, a handful of absolute dumpster fires, and then there's everybody else. The logic is if you give the worst teams the best chance to draft the best prospects, eventually they'll at least get to that everybody else portion of the bell curve. So some teams, knowing that, attempt to tank their season away in order to get the best pick possible, which I mean is technically against the rules, but how are you going to prove beyond reasonable doubt that a team is purposefully losing games? Well, I mean, in lieu of a civil suit, that is. Suck for luck, tank for Tua, off for golf. Tanking in the NFL, especially when there's a potential franchise quarterback waiting at the end of the season, is about as common in the NFL as cannabis. But you see, the problem is that poverty franchises, in other words, teams that somehow manage to be bad enough for a top 10 pick for the better part of a whole decade, are that way for a reason. I mean, it could be bad scouting, bad coaching, bad player development, bad management, bad ownership, or more often than not, it's some combination of those things. And yeah, Arizona does fit the bill. All right, so I'm going to keep it a buck with y'all. I don't know, and I didn't bother to look too deep into how the Cardinals operate, but the vibes haven't been good for a while. Not gonna lie, I started getting the ick when they gave up on Rosen after a year with no O-line and little help besides David Johnson and like 85% of Larry Fitzgerald. Yeah, I mean, I guess I did get the logic at the time. You hire the coach, so then you let the coach go out and get his guy, so then he can build his scheme around said guy. I mean, even if the coach does leave college with a losing record, that doesn't matter. Everybody wants Sean McVay, or at least they wanted Sean McVay before they realized F them picks might not actually be a great long-term strategy for your franchise. And the dude who convinced you to do that starts sticking one foot out the door. And because they couldn't get McVay, they got the dollar store knockoff version. Zach Taylor, Brandon Staley, Kevin O'Connell, Matt LaFleur all got head coaching gigs in no small part because they sat at the feet of football Jesus. Nick Sirianni and Mike McDaniel, although they never worked with McVay, I don't think, were hired with kind of the same mindset. You get a young offensive-minded coach to overhaul the O and then whisper sweet nothings to your young and or struggling QB until he manages to throw for 4,000 yards in a season. Yeah, that's how that works. Cliff Kingsbury falls into that latter category, except they got the coach before the QB. But again, Kyler was exactly the guy who supposedly fit Kingsbury's scheme the best. So I'm just going to skip all the drama and get straight to the issue with the Cardinals. They are basically the NFL equivalent of the Sixers. If the face of our franchise skipped film room so he could lab combos in MK1 all summer instead. No, like seriously, the Sixers are and have been low-key one of the worst run franchises in the league for a hot minute. We draft poorly, develop players even worse, and our GM is a bigger mark than Eric Bischoff. Is that too dated a reference? All right, then, Tony Khan. The only thing we do halfway decently is cap management. But the cap doesn't really matter when you let Jimmy, the regular season is an exhibition butler, walk in order to max out an effing crumble cookie. Or you pay PJ Tucker, who I'm pretty sure got drafted the same year as Magic, $33 million over 3 years because Joel, the playoffs is an exhibition and Embiid said so. That's pretty much how the Cardinals are run. Larry Fitzgerald, the most professional pro ball player since ever, chose to retire instead of play another snap with Kyler. They literally had to write a clause in the boy's contract saying he wouldn't get paid until he did his homework, and then took the joint out when he whined about it and his PR team leaked it to the media. The head coach and the QB were getting in the shouting matches on the sideline, and that QB was unrepentantly pissing on the scheme in public view. Not to mention he did wind up tearing his knee to shreds before basically every superstar left on the team was either shipped out or is basically hitting up other teams' DMs with WYDs and googly eye emojis. And now signs seem to indicate that the team has possibly had enough of the mess they created entirely themselves. And I haven't even talked about y'all's new coach yet. Like, oh my God, man. Okay, so I'm gonna keep it a buck. As an Eagles fan, I do have a particular distaste for Gannon, but I mean, come on, y'all. Look at this nigga, man. He probably smells like Axe 2-in-1. This the type of dude who wears his Leatherman's jacket and states ring to the 20-year high school reunion. I promise you his favorite movie is Fight Club, and he probably takes his wife to Buffalo Wild Wings on their anniversary. Now, I was never nearly as big a Gannon hater as a lot of people over here. I kind of got what he was trying to do with the D, and apparently so has every other team in the league because now they're trying to copy it. But, I mean, come on, y'all. Bad turf aside, bad fumble aside, bad call aside, and bad special teams aside, 2 plays is really what lost us this game. This one and this one. Like, nigga, that window is wide enough that I could drive an effing G-Wagon through it. And not once did he take accountability for the L. Not even close. Which is even wilder when you consider that this goofus cost Arizona draft comp because he didn't tell any of his bosses that he had Cardinals on the brain for the entirety of pre-Super Bowl week. Which in turn cost us a chance to hire Vic Fangio. And this after going on national TV and saying to the entire city that he wasn't leaving. Which, I mean, not gonna lie, this actually did pay off for us. Just keeping it a buck. And ever since, he's done nothing but reveal to the Arizona media how much of a clown he is, while also reminding Philly of why we wanted him canned in the first place. Oh, and apparently now he knew how to do his head coach's job better than him, but didn't say anything because politics, until Nick evidently came storming into the coach's room one day on the verge of a nervous breakdown trying to figure out how to turn the team around until Gannon told him how to. Like, for real, good luck, Arizona. Ain't my problem anymore. This team is the definition of a dumpster fire franchise, and I really do not blame Caleb if he does wind up staying in school. Even if it weren't the Cardinals, I don't blame him at all because I always did find it kind of odd that the best college athletes don't get to pick their employer like the rest of us do. Like, think about it for a second. Could you imagine being the nation's top, I don't know, like hedge fund manager prospect or something, and instead of getting to work on Wall Street like you've always dreamed, you get sent to like Blue Ball, Pennsylvania, some ish. Like, again, I don't want to make this too deep because that's not the purpose of this channel. But like I said, it's just kind of weird to me. I guess, I mean, I get it because then everybody would be playing in either New York or LA, 2 of the worst fan bases in the world for polar opposite reasons. I mean, that's basically the issue with the NBA now, right? But I mean, if you ask me, why not just do what they do in college? Invite the kid to the facility, treat them to dinner, show them some titties, and let them make up their own mind. Like, if you've ever had a second interview for a job, that's basically how that thing works. Yeah, including the titties. I don't know what kind of jobs y'all getting hired for. I don't know, man. I don't have an answer, like I said, and I'm not going to get too deep into it. But Arizona's been running through QBs like draws since Kurt Warner hung it up. And that's mostly their own fault. I'd really hate to see a kid as talented as Caleb get put through the meat grinder like Lawrence almost did when Tony's dad hired a mob boss to coach the team. I mean, unless he gets drafted in my division, of course. Then Caleb can eat dog dookie for all I care.